intended, but it shows that, you know, there is unhappiness and people are not getting their voices heard, and they're turning up to the street because those in authority are abusing the authority in one way or another, and not responding to lawful requests.
That's right.
Those alleging to have authority.
Alleging.
The only authority is over the deception. That they ever had it in the first place. They work on presumptions.
They call all their businesses authorities, don't they? This authority and that local authority and the police authority, and all, they call themselves authority, don't they?
They're working off the presumption of authority.
So it's all started to filter. I think obviously because the
people need some food now. It's dinner time.
Looming very soon, and that the police are now. You can see, if you can sort of see, what a crowd. The police were on the other side of the road half an hour ago, and now they've just pushed right on one side now. So they're containing them, and they're going to try and force them to filter away.
They're applying they're applying their specially learned skills, how to disperse crowds and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, the flying squad, as we call them.
But Tariq, they're not applying the skills to the illegal bailiffs with fake warrants every day, terrorizing people.
They are not doing their job as intended, as we are supposed, as we pay our taxes for. That's it. They don't work for us.
They can use it against innocent people demonstrating and voicing their opinions. But they don't use those skills. Andy, what do you think? They're not using the skills against the illegal bailiffs.
Well, they are what they are. You know, I mean, it's come pretty obvious now for the world to see now exactly what they are. And they're just puppets that do as they're told. They're just following orders. They haven't a clue. They don't realise in the in-depths of what it really is all about, and the fact that those that are telling them what to do are pretending to be their bosses. I mean, ultimately, they all sworn on an oath. That means the people are their boss, because ultimately that's who they're meant to be serving, the people. But they're not serving the people; they're serving their masters.
Well, they're oath to the corporation, isn't it? So by swearing an oath to the corporation, they have to abide by those rules.
Yeah, I mean, as the Baron clearly pointed out, it's all by consent, and that consent is equal to a wet ink signature. So because they've all signed their contract, those laws that they try to enforce on the people actually only apply to them. But because they apply to them, they try to enforce them and coerce them onto other people, and by getting their tacit agreement purely because they don't understand or lack the knowledge, that's all.
So they swear an oath, the police constables, to serve and protect the public. And at the moment, it seems like they're more serving a corporation. They call it the Metropolitan Police Corporation. The secrets in the name.
There's the Metropolitan, there's the City Police. They are two separate entities. City Police square mile. So they are the one who work for the corporation, which is the Crown. CROWNE. That's who I'm dealing with here. There's Metropolitan Police here, but there's the City Police. If you look over there by
City of London Police.
They are the City Police. They're two different police here. City Police and Metropolitan Police. What does that tell you? Who are they? Who do they work for?
Who do they claim to work for, and who do they work for? Two different things. Exactly. I mean, this is the thing about the police. The police that are in there as police have all sworn on an oath, and they are all claiming to be constables. But at the same time, they're also claiming to be police officers, and it's two different things, two different roles. One's a policy enforcer and one's a law enforcer. One serves the people, one serves the corporation. And because the mingle of the two, they can't see the difference between the two. Ultimately, the corporation side of things requires your consent for them to force their legislation upon you, because you've got to have had a contract with that corporation, as the Baron clearly pointed out. And the other side, yeah, is you need a victim. They need a victim to them to help you, because that's the whole point. That's where a peacekeeper or a police constable is working as a policeman, yeah, not a policy enforcer, which is why they can't get the duality, the lawful and legal side of two different things. They are two completely different, like oil and water.
Yeah, people need to know the difference between what's legal and what's lawful. It sounds like just the same thing, but if you start to research it a little bit, they're two completely different things. And a lot of the dark crimes that are taking place is taking place under the guise of legal, something being legal,
which is being
not
done
lawful.
which is
not always
being done
lawful
through sorcery, black magic. It's being done
Aye.
through magic, by spells, by the word spells, and they're tricking people because they speak two different languages. They speak legalese. The people speak plain English. Is what we was taught. We was never taught the language that they speak. So they speak a completely different language to us, and this is why they're foreign to us. And this is why the police themselves that are enforcing the orders that they're being given, they themselves are not aware of it neither.
They're policy officers. They're enforcing a policy from a corporation instead of being police constables, serving and protecting the public. So that's a distinction there.
Act of Parliament, which is statutory, okay, that is a business. So executing without the consent of the government is an act of terrorism. Now, if you look at the example, even Barron once said this regarding the case. I think it was around about 170 or 80 cases that were overturned regarding the fracking. Now, in Manchester, the judge turned around and said that I cannot find them guilty. I cannot find the police guilty for what they did. He cannot. So everyone was found guilty, 170 cases. And then Barron was just spinning around thinking, how could this happen? We had them cornered. But then he looked at it and said, well, hang on a minute. The police were not acting in accordance with protecting the people. They were working and protecting the corporation, which is the fracking corporation. So then all the cases are then overturned and it became not guilty. So this is what the police are doing right now. They are executing acts of Parliament that is statutory without the consent of the government. It's terrorism. And that just shows that they're working for the corporation, not the people. And that is a fraud in itself. By taking an oath of office and saying they work for the people, when they don't, they work for the corporation.
So this is the trick of the legal system. Under a lawful system that they'd have to be convicted, a legal system, they make up all these excuses because they're running the. I've seen fake court orders time and time again. It says on the order, this order must be taken at face value and must not be questioned or something like that. You make a fake order and you write on there that you must question this fake order. It's unbelievable.
The difference is that it's the duality. I mean, fact and fiction. You know, this is what it really comes down to. The corporate, which is the dead and the living. It's the living, the men and the living, the men and the living on the land. This is the land law, or the law of the land, so to say. And that is where, there is no harm, loss or injury. No victim, no crime. That's the black and white, very simple law. Then they take it into the colour of law, which is the legal acts and statutes, which is all corporations. They do not apply to the man. It applies to his person, which is his body corporate, which is the person that was created, which was created to the placenta. And therefore, that is what the Baron David Ward took control of. And he used his legal fiction to beat their whole system, because their system required the consent of the legal fiction, which they never had. Yeah. And they couldn't prove the fact that the fiction had given consent, nor anybody else in England had given a consent. So therefore, people down there like David Icke and so on and so forth, all the other people, why are they not telling the people, by the way, guys, none of these acts or statutes applies to you unless you're a member of that corporation. So the police, yes, they do apply. They apply to you because you've got a contract with them. You know, yes, councils, yes, they do apply to you because you've got a contract with them. But for the people themselves, no, they don't, because they've never consented to it. And you can't trick them into that dissent. But yes, you can, because we're working under the old Roman rule that let those that are deceived be deceived. And you're gaining their acceptance through tacit agreement by acquiescence, because the people are not aware that they never consented to it. They didn't realize they only had to say, excuse me, I've got no contract with you. Can I see the material evidence to substantiate your claim? Which is all the Baron did. And they didn't argue. No contest. No contest.
Executed acts of parliament, okay, without, basically it comes under victimless infraction. Without a victim, how is there a crime?
Yeah.
Every single one. Without a victim, how can you find someone guilty in a court of law without a victim?
It's like,
so
like Joe.
The police would step forward and say, who did we harm? But no one would step forward. It's the crown you're dealing with, the Regina, so we say, Regina.
Right, Regina. Yeah, well, it's like George Carter, where they can't, they can't produce anything. We saw the video yesterday we put out where he went to the court and demanded the prosecution and so on. And they actually told him they don't have it because he stuck to it. It took him 2 hours, and him and his wife, they wouldn't leave. So that video is called the elusive court order. It's somewhere there. And if people need to go and insist, you say you've got a court order, show me how this court order came about. Where is the computer records of this court order? What was filed in court? Where is the sealed order? And you find, at one time they told you, Tariq, that you had 35 convictions.
Yeah, 29 plus the new one, that was 30.
30
was,
convictions.
Yeah,
and
police officer said they have that. She used that in an application to protect that question.
So they're recycling it as if it's true. This is the thing.
Yes, and then when we asked her for those prosecutions, because in an application in the court of law, you were bringing that forward, present the material evidence. It was just hearsay. It was just hearsay. So as soon as we requested it, she ran.
But it's beyond hearsay. It's beyond hearsay, Tariq. There was no lay of information, no prosecution at all.
Yeah, even that. So this is why they played that very dirty tactic, knowing that I had to travel from Surrey. They wanted me to get to court for 9 o'clock. I said, that will be very difficult. I will be running late. I sent them the email, so forth. I arrived at the court and they wouldn't allow me access to the court because I had an electric scooter.
Yeah, so, they wouldn't allow you to take the scooter in the court, to leave the scooter in the court.
You know, I arrived to the court on the scooter because I was injured. But they said, we cannot allow you access. So they went ahead with the court hearing and got what they wanted, which was an order to keep away from certain locations. In fact,
Tariq,
3 locations.
Tariq, we're going into that grey area again because we're calling into court. We're calling into court and we're saying it's a warrant. There's an order. No, neither of those happened because neither of those can be established. So we can't. If we say it is, then we make it. There wasn't a court. It was a crime.
Courthouse building. Courthouse building, but it's not a properly constituted court. They don't have a prosecution. They don't have a case management. They don't have an actual court file. They have sham documents in there. Sham documents.
The difference between reality and illusion. It's all an illusion. The only way that illusion become a reality is like the same as a presumption. It's a presumption, and if we don't challenge that presumption, we go along with it. We make that presumption a reality. So that's all we've ever done, is ask to be made certain. All we want to do is to be made certain. If you're going to make the claim that it is something, then substantiate that claim, just like the Baron said. You said that your law to be enforceable requires our consent. Then you produce the material evidence to substantiate that we've ever given that consent. That's all. Same with the court. Say they're calling into court.
Presumption is a presumption, and it can be destroyed with a formal challenge, and that's what Baron did with every single one of those 12 presumptions of the law. Being a presumption, for a formal challenge, it was destroyed. There you go, and game over. Now all magistrates' courts all courts operate under presumption, but especially magistrates. Magistrates, which was confirmed by the legal advisor last month at Guildford Magistrate. She would not confirm her name, confirm her identity to me. And she also confirmed that I do not have to confirm my identity because this is not a court of record.
Oh!
Witnesses in front of lawyers. Oh, okay.
It's not a court of record. Say,
where
it's
am
not a court at all. It's not a court of record. And Andy, sorry,
So
I'm
if there's
just
not
gonna
a court of
divert.
record, there's not a record, it's a court.
I'm gonna divert because somebody that you were helping, Andy, they had a reply from Willesden Magistrates Court, where I have a few alleged cases in the past. And they said none of the magistrates courts in the UK are courts of record.
Right.
That's why all the paperwork coming out of there and liability orders and all these, they're not sealed and they're not signed because they're not a court at all.
Right.
They call them court. If you look at magistrates court, it's got an apostrophe on the end.
Yeah.
It's not a proper court. So
It's an illusion.
as
It's
soon
all
as
an
people
illusion.
know
This
this,
is-
all these COVID fines, they're not fine, they're not court fines. You just challenge it, you just ask, where is the prosecution for this fine? And they will just drop it like a stone. Because nobody did a prosecution. How can they have a fine? You have to be found guilty to be fined.
So basically, I mean, the thing is with the people out there, for all the people out there, basically what the thing is, if you don't challenge, then you accept. You've yielded to the presumption, you've made it real by not challenging it. So you have no choice but to challenge.
That's right. You got to break down their claim because that's what they are doing. They are making a claim under every act of parliament. Unless you question it, they will roll all over you. And that's exactly what's been happening. Not enough people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and hence why the system is now delivering what they have to deliver. And this is it, the digital age. We are there now. It doesn't matter about all these protests, what's going on. It's not enough. People need to be doing. And coming to protesting isn't doing. You can come here, you can collect information, relevant information.
No more violence, no more hate.
You see, I mean, the thing is, I mean, what you have to, what you should, everybody should ask themselves is, why wasn't we taught about law in school? Why did they not tell us about these things that we should have known? Because if we don't know, we can't ask. If you don't know what to question, you can't question it. You can't question anything. That's why you was never taught about law, because they don't want you to be able to ask. Because if you ask the questions, they can't give you the answers because it's an illusion. So if you don't ask, this is how they're deceiving people. And because people want to think they know, and that's the trap. That's the trap of the mind, because all they can think with is what they've been programmed with. Well, they was never given the information to think. That's why they think about the wrongness, nothing about the correctness. If they knew what to ask, then they would have asked the question, is this real? Can you make me certain? Can you provide the case management file? Can I see the information that was laid for this alleged court case? Can I see the wet ink signature on a consent to be governed form that you require, that you need, yeah, to be able to enforce your act and statute that you're applying to me?
A legal and mandatory requirement, the consent of the governed. That is statute. Without
Absolutely.
that, no act of parliament can be given the force of law.
And just to go one step further, can you give me the definitions of the words that you're speaking to me so that I can understand what you're saying? Because I don't understand a word that you're saying, because I don't understand what language it is, because it's not in English. Is it in English? You haven't defined it. You haven't given us you haven't put a cipher on the paper so that we can see what you're actually saying. I can see these words, but I don't know what they mean. Why have you put my name in all capitals? That's not my name. So realistically, I mean, what we've got here is a fiction that appears real, and it appears very real because they're all in on it. Whether they know it or whether they just doing as they're told. That's the way it goes. And because there's a lot more of those, the bad, that's the thing. The thing is, and I keep repeating this as well, the bad people are very glued together. The good people are very divided. The good people need to come together, just like the bad people are very glued together. And when that happens, yeah, the good will prevail.
Yeah, well, I just, where are we? How do I get back my Zoom? I just put a link on the Facebook's feed to the link to request your court file, the civil and the criminal. Because if people start to do this to check, they realize the court case against them was a fraud and not, even if you're guilty or you think you're guilty, it doesn't give anyone a right to fabricate a court case against you. So I just put the two links there for the civil court and the criminal court. If you have a case, you check it out. And if you have a lawyer, ask your lawyer to get these items before, otherwise you don't know what you're discussing. You want to see the court file, you want the case management, otherwise you don't know what's there. You can't rely on the documents, the wheelbarrow loads of documents people are sending you from all over the place.
Now it clicks, because the more you enter into the courtroom, you hear them speak and what they say. Which is why they're always in a rush to get
They use a lot of tactics to get you off the subject. We done the video with George yesterday live in the court, where he was requesting his thing, and after insisting and insisting, the court manager finally agreed they don't have case management, they don't have an order, and they don't have a prosecution. Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, and by getting you to trick you into giving an early plea, especially if you go guilty, then they can deal with you there and then. But then there's no paperwork that they have to, right, guys, my battery's just going to die now. We may have to cut this short.
Well, listen, we can call it a day. We've had a good little thing. Let me just put the link.
Just to put a little bit more interest in for the people, for the all, because in the years that I've been doing this to try and bring awareness and paying focus on certain people's plights, everybody's got a different plight, and we're trying to get everybody to focus on a plight on someone's certain case because it's the big one, rather than do that with what you've exposed, Anthony, is the beautiful thing this now, because this means everybody individually, because the golden rule here is, yeah, two things. One that the Baron pointed out was the fact that no consent was ever given, so none of these can apply to you. But the other point is now something where the people can see now is whether they're being had over by a court. So it's not about this particular court case, it's about every court case. And every man and woman and child that's being taken into an alleged court case can simply ask for their caseman file to verify and validate whether it's authentic and valid, and see whether there is an actual information been laid at the court for there to be anything inside a case for them to answer to. Because without that, there is nothing to answer to, peeps. And if you do answer to it, you have just been participating and collaborating in a crime that you are going to be the victim of. So this is the importance of why you must find out to whether or not what you're alleging to be a case or what is being alleged to you is a case is a case. Because if it isn't, then there's nothing in the case and you never had anything to answer to in the first place, period.
Yeah, well, the word is the word that I like to use, because it's so hard to distinguish these things. But is it an authentic case or is it a basket case? It's chalk and cheese. If you never laid information to make a prosecution, you don't have any case management record in the court system, official system, and you can't produce a sealed order, that means your only claim against this victim is aggression and violence, dark tactics. And that is why they behave so. You go in to get a customer service and they're hostile to you. Why? They have something to cover up, to protect. They don't want, they tell people, get a solicitor, get legal. Why do I need legal advice to get a copy of an order or to see the file? Why? Because a lawyer, in 100 years, I've never seen a lawyer request those items. So shall we wind up, Tariq?
Yeah. Round it up.
I'm just gonna have a walk around and see what else is going on. If I see anything else, I'll let you know.
God bless, man. Wonderful, great work. People like you getting out there in the heat of it and bringing attention and handing out leaflets and whatever and keeping the battle alive. Hopefully, we can get justice and our grandchildren are not going to be in deeper slavery than we are.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, some of the guys, the police, and all those people will come and join this side. Some have already done. So let's crack on with it.
There's going to be a proper protest march for the David Icke. We want the numbers.
Freedom over fear. That's the name of the game today.
As soon as we get hold of that, it's game over. That'll be it. So, guys,
all right, man.
Catch you go. So we'll catch up. Then we go and charge up. We'll have a chat
all
later.
Right. Take care.
God bless. All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.